1, forms, type radio. Now this is about radio buttons, and I believe we kind of covered this in class, but here's a little exercise to solidify your skills. So the input type radio is used when the user is not allowed to pick more than one option. To group or bind different radios into the same group of options, you need to assign them to the same name. Create 2 input type radio to pick meals type values, meat or non-meat, and create another 2 input type radio to pick dessert type values, dairy or non-dairy. Test your form, only 1 meal should show up at a time. Okay, so to refresh your memory, and you're always allowed to use your own resources, it's always fun to grab information from here. So input type radio, in this case, ID is called male, gender, and value is male. So you have a type, an ID, a name. Now name is what binds the radio button together. And then the value is whatever the value you want to send to the form once it gets submitted. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. Radio type is button. ID is going to be meat. The name of it is going to be meals or meal. And the value of it's going to be meat. Let's make this small. If I run my program, I see that I have something right there, a radio button, but I don't have a label for it. And label for the meat, for ID. Let's see the syntax again. For equals meat. Let's surround that with quotes, close brackets, close my label, and I don't need this colon, and I can say meat. Now if I run my code, now you can see if I click on meat, that's what this for is for. When I click on meat, I don't have to click on the button, I can click on the value meat and it'll still click. Now let's add another value here, Control C, Control V. ID is non-meat. Value is non-meat. It still belongs to the meal. And over here I'm going to put non-meat, and this for non-meat. If I run my radio button, I see that it's meat or non-meat, and I select it if I select meat. Now let's say I don't do this correctly and I say for meat. What happens? Well, if I click that, it's non-meat, and if I click, oh, I have to run my code. If I click meat, if I click non-meat, it will not click. If I click on this button, and then I click on non-meat, it'll go to meat. So be careful with that. Make sure you always label it correctly for the right radio button. It's non-meat. Okay, run that code. Meat, non-meat. All right. Break line. The break line. The break tag. And we'll do the same thing again for dairy, except we'll change the name so that they don't interact. In fact, let's do 2 of these. Control V, run this code. And in this case, I want to put it to be ID equals dairy, type equals dessert, value equals dairy. Instead of non-meat, it's non-dairy. It's not a meal, it's part, you know what, let's make a mistake and forget to do that. We'll make it for non-dairy. Non-dairy. It's a lot of extra writing of the word dairy. Dairy. Let's run this code. All right, so meat and non-meat. Okay, and now for dairy, if I select dairy, it doesn't change my non-meat option. If I change non-dairy, okay, so check this out. How come non-dairy, when I press that, it doesn't change from dairy to non-dairy? It changes no meat. Well, because it belongs to the meal. The name of the input type determines what it interacts with. So I can change this to dessert so it acts the way it should. Run this code again. And if I select meat, it'll be meat. If I select non-dairy, when I select dairy, it doesn't work. How come? Because I forgot to say dairy over there. Okay, always be careful when you're copying and pasting that you change everything that you're supposed to. In fact, copying and pasting is not a good practice in general for that reason. All right, that's how 5.1 is done.